I'm Erin McCoy, host of the Real Estate Talk Show, and I am so lucky that I get to interview some of the most amazing people in the real estate industry.
And I'm Simon Giannini. I'm the host of the Real Estate Talk Show, and I've been helping people buy, sell, and invest in real estate for over 30 years.
Simon, we get a lot of questions coming into the Real Estate Talk Show. We love them, so keep them coming, everybody. So the question that we've been getting the most of late is, what is the difference between a hard loft and a soft loft?
Yeah, it's funny, like 7 people ask the same questions around the lofts and hard lofts and soft lofts. Well, look, everybody knows they're building a lot of condos, but what's happened in the last, I would say in the last couple of decades, is they're taking a lot of the old industrial buildings, and in some places, it actually makes more sense just to convert the existing structure than to tear it down. In some cases, it's not possible to tear down the structure because of historical value. But in both cases, when we talk about a hard loft, we're talking about an original building. Some of these buildings are over 100 years old that are actually converted. So what they're doing is they're gutting the existing structure and they're using this space. And the cool thing about it is when you get an old commercial or industrial building, they usually have very high ceilings. Yeah. So we talk about a lofted space. We're talking about high ceilings. We're talking about sometimes a mezzanine level where you walk in and you've got, there's some lofts with 25, 30-foot ceilings. It's spectacular.
And oodles of character.
Oodles of character. Yeah. And in some cases, it's actually even more expensive than buying a brand new construction condo in the same area because they can't build 25-foot ceilings anymore, not for the same price. Because, builders when they're building a new product, they're selling space. So at the same time, you've got these beautiful, old, original, hard lofts. Call them the real lofts, for lack of a better term. And at the same time, you've got some builders, knowing that people want loft, are able to advertise lofts when they're, for example, doing I call it a soft loft because it's not a true loft. It's not a hard loft. And what they're doing is they're taking 2-story units and calling them loft condos. But some of them are, in my opinion, just I wouldn't even call them a loft because you have 2 7-foot ceilings or 7.5-foot ceilings. And the whole concept for me is, I don't care if I got 2 stories if I really don't have the space and the light and so on. But hey, for some people, it still works. They like 2 stories. They like the stairs and gives them that feeling.
And there was a real buzz going around, Simon, where everything was a loft. I mean, that term, and people wanted to use it. Builders were hoping to be able to utilize that term loft. And you're right. A lot of times it was just there were stairs and you happened to have 2 floors. And then you had a door going in from the hallway. So you came in either upstairs, which is usually where the bedroom was, or you came in a door.
Well, that comes in handy if you come in a drunken stupor at 3 a.m.
Or you don't want anybody to know you're coming in at all.
Or sneak out, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, I had my first condo was actually a 2-story condo, and I loved having the 2-story. Yeah. But I had 9.5-foot ceilings on each floor. I had this beautiful wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling glass with cityscape. I mean, it was spectacular. And I remember I consciously paid a premium for it, and it was worth it all day long.
Okay. More importantly, when you sold it, did you get that premium back?
I definitely did. I got even more of a premium back because it was selling for more per square foot than a traditional unit. And I was sad to sell it, but I got the money back. Absolutely.
All right, Simon. So let's talk about investment. Is a good one.
Well, it depends. It depends on the location, depends on the market rents in the area. Because for me, the qualifier is this. If I'm going to call something a good investment, I mean, it's a good investment just to buy versus rent anyway. So let's get that off the table. So everything is a good investment because for most people, it's a forced savings plan. And if you don't buy, you're just throwing your money away no matter what on rent.
Well, you're helping somebody else own. Right?
But as a pure investment, in other words, would I buy a loft, rent it out, and call that an investment? Well, the qualifier for me based on kind of the numbers lately in the Toronto market is this. If I can put down 20 or 25% and it carries itself, and by that I mean the rent covers the mortgage, the maintenance, and the taxes, then that's a decent investment because...
Do you include insurance on that, Simon?
It's a small amount, but not usually because there's 2 components of insurance with a condo. There's the building insurance that's covered in the maintenance fees. So in essence, it's being paid for.
Right.
And then there's the contents insurance that the tenant usually pays for. So it's not really something that you'd have to address.
Now, we've had, though, Mark Weisletter on the program. Of course, he's our legal resident expert. And he's talked greatly about the fact that people are relying on their tenants to, of course, show that they have content insurance.
Yes.
But he's advising and saying that the condo owner that actually has title of that condo, you should also have insurance on that as well.
Well, here's what I've done in the past and what I've recommended clients do is this.
Okay.
I make it a condition of the lease that the tenant have insurance. I add it onto the rent. I have the landlord pay for it to make sure the insurance is in place, because I don't think Mark meant for both people to have insurance. That doesn't make any sense. But it's very prudent for the landlord to make sure that the insurance is paid for so that the coverage is there. So
All
absolutely.
right. I think it's a perfect segue so that we'll have Mark back and we'll talk specifically about that. Because again, we still get a lot of questions about that as well. All right. So again, you're going to be using your ways in which you analyze an investment, but you have yourself owned a loft, and as a result, when you decided to sell it, you did very well when you went, because it was in demand.
Absolutely.
People wanted that type of product.
Sold in days.
Is it still popular now?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the buzzword loft is not going anywhere soon?
No.
All right, well, if you're just tuning in, of course, Simon and I are talking about hard loft, soft loft. We had lots of questions about that. But now I want to change focus and let's talk about new urban trends. So what's going on out there right now?
Well, it's a perfect segue, because what's happening is this. Some people like the idea of having, living in the city, but they don't like the traditional condo, the high rise, the elevator,
lifestyle doesn't suit
the
them.
whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
So what's interesting what's interesting is this: in neighborhoods like Little Italy, in neighborhoods like Leslieville.
Okay, so from people that are not in the area, I mean, we're
downtown. They're downtown neighborhoods that have a lot of life to them. You can walk out. There's restaurants. There's cafes.
Okay, so you're in the core. The amenities are right nearby.
You're a 15-minute walk
and
downtown.
sizes of these places are?
Well, they're taking the old Victorian homes that are, let's say, for example, they might be 2,500 square feet. They're not huge, but they're converting them into 2 and 3 apartments.
Okay.
So they're in essence building, and I like to call it their very own little condo building.
Yes.
They're living on the top floor. So I've got a client that now owns 2 beautiful Victorians. I'll give a shout out to my buddy Rob. He's got 2 beautiful Victorians. One's on Markham, one's on Palmerston, and beautiful renovation job. I would call it a condo style renovation. Very minimalist, very, very simple. But imagine you could live on the top floor and you could have your 1,000, 1,200 square foot condo built into your own little Victorian, no elevator. You've got a terrace, or in his case, a deck that's facing the skyline. You're renting out the main floor, which is another apartment or a condo that you have in your little building. You could rent that out. You can convert the basement to yet another unit. And if you do it properly, if you do a good job, the demand for rental is massive, especially if you're in these these very chic urban neighborhoods.
Because of location. Yeah.
And when you compare the cost per square foot. So for example, if he's got 2,500 square feet, the average price for a condo, 2,500 square feet, would be $1 million plus. Whereas you can pick up these Victorians for $700, $800, $900, $1 million, but do your own renovation.
So we always
and
talk price per
style.
square foot. So give us an example of what we'd be talking about.
Well, let's say 2,500 square feet for $800,000 works out to just a little bit more than $300 a foot. You can't buy a condo in the core for $300 a foot.
What's typical condo purchase?
Typical now, I say $500 to $1,000 a foot for the premium locations.
So look at that. So you're saving yourself right there between $150 to $200 a square foot.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, you have somebody now, maybe 1 or 2 tenants, that's helping for you to live there. Mm-hmm. So again, your cost of living has gone down substantially.
Absolutely.
You're in the driver's seat because you own it. You are now owning something as opposed to being a renter. Yeah. And you're owning something that actually, in equity, has incredible ability to grow now in value because of its location and the fact that now you have something that's no longer just a 1 owner building, but you've turned it into 2 or 3.
Yeah, and you're not really creating a condominium. It's still a single family home by title, but you're in charge of it. And you know what it speaks to? It speaks to economy, because people are saying, you know what, I don't need 3,000 square feet if it's just me or me and my partner, or even my partner and I and a kid or 2. We can still figure out how to live. The bicycles out the back. You got the barbecue. You walk to the shops. You walk to the restaurants.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle
and it's a very logical trend, and it's one I think that's going to keep growing.
And then you're now seeing, in terms of design elements with these places, as you said, it's like a condo in terms of how they're finishing them, how they're designing them, minimalistic. Furniture size is really pared down
Open
so that
concept,
it fits in the area.
Very creative. Furniture, custom made furniture that's custom designed for small spaces, rather with built-in
storage. But that's so available now, though, Simon. I mean, you can get that anywhere now.
Yeah.
Where before, I mean, it was you had to actually pay a lot to get somebody to make it for you. But now everybody carries what we call condo-sized furniture.
Condo furniture with built-in storage and multiple uses. We're seeing Murphy beds everywhere. We're seeing coffee tables that convert to dining rooms. Yeah. A lot of very creative stuff, and I think it's a fantastic thing.
Now, you make this sound really easy because, of course, you helped your friend and Rob be able to now not have just one, but have two.
We've helped lots of people. We've helped literally hundreds and hundreds do this, and we're seeing this as an emerging trend, not just in the downtown neighborhoods, but all over the GTA and the Horseshoe. Because people are looking at the stock market and saying, you know, it's not worked well in the past. They like real estate, and they're getting creative, and people are building wealth.
And I like what you just said, Simon. It's not just something that's happening in the GTA. I mean, we're a show that's across Ontario here right now. So at the end of the day, people that are in Barrie, people that are in Aurelia, they've got some beautiful Victorian homes. I mean, unbelievable architecture. The same thing applies. I mean, look at that place that you might walk by and overlook it, but go inside, take a look, because if a condo lifestyle, which there's lots to choose from even on the water in various, you know, we're very lucky. We have lots of lakes here. And as a result, lots of condos are going up around them. But now this is another choice that you're saying is a great idea for people.
And I think it's a trend that's here to stay, and it's a good one.
Simon Giannini.
That's my name.
So good.